We often talk about coral protection, do a lot of talking, but money is always the issue. People are willing to do things, but they need money.
The Global Fund for Coral Reefs is a unique coalition dedicated to the conservation of the most resilient reefs around the world and supporting the communities that depend on them through a blended finance mechanism to build reef-positive businesses and implement sustainable finance mechanisms for conservation.
The Global Fund for Coral Reefs initiative is really looking at how can you couple cutting-edge science with blended finance or innovative financing mechanisms with a specific focus on coral reefs.
Getting this conservation into business mind so that you're dealing with it as a business objective, business thinking.
Most of the work within the coral restoration space is focused on the science. We're trying to address something novel and new, and it's about financing those reef-positive businesses operating to either reduce drivers to reef degradation or threats impacting reefs, as well as helping to improve coral reef health. And hopefully it can help local communities to try and scale up our impact for helping to restore reefs during a time of climate crisis.
Dan ini sangat penting sekali. Dan kita tidak bisa lagi memandang terumbu karang sebagai itu kan hanya ini di laut, bagian dari sama dengan ikan, rumput laut dan sebagainya. Tidak bisa lagi lihat, tapi kita lihat terumbu karang sebagai salah satu sektor yang sangat strategi.
Within GFCR's blended finance approach, we count with two core vehicles. First, a grant fund, which utilizes grant resources and deploys them as technical assistance, concessional loans, or guarantees to de-risk the creation of reef-positive businesses. Second, we have an investment fund, which focuses on private equity investments that are used to grow and scale up these reef-positive solutions.
And the Global Fund for Coral Reefs is really taking the lead in being able to create the financing mechanisms that can show how reef restoration can benefit local economies and can be a profitable and financially sustainable endeavor so that we can scale reef restoration to where it needs to be.
The challenge in coral reefs is really related to the livelihoods. Community needs income. And most of the times they will harvest or they'll exploit the corals. So what we are doing is to address that. We help them with the alternative livelihood. We help them on how to better harvest the resources in the coral reefs.
We're really seeking to create sustainable, durable outcomes. And that means communities can have the resources they need, the science they need, the technology, and the financing that they need to protect their own reefs.
I think the timing now is quite critical for this financing to be deployed to ensure that we demonstrate this approach of how do we find a balance between protection and production. So how do we make sure that in this effort we're also generating some local revenues that help with management.
And especially in a world where we're going through global change, having those long-term data sets and those long-term efforts are really what's needed, especially when you're working with a group of animals like corals that are slow growing and take time to recover. You know, we're working on decade and multi-decade timescales. So we need funding that matches those timescales.
The approach of the Global Fund for Coral Reefs is based on 4 pillars. First, we protect the most resilient reefs around the world. Second, we transform those activities that are currently negative towards this ecosystem and we turn them into reef-positive activities by reducing the drivers of degradation and ensuring a positive impact. Third, we restore coral reefs. Why? Because protecting them and turning reef-negative activities into reef-positive activities is no longer enough. We need to restore this ecosystem as well. And fourth, none of this can be done without people. And that's why our 4th pillar is focused on communities' resilience and ensuring that they can withstand the shocks of challenges like climate change and the COVID pandemic.
This type of impact funding will go a long way in terms of us being able to restore these reefs and make them more resilient.
Sustainable financing for the long term is really important to support these long-term projects. and not just for the Nature Conservancy, but for local communities and businesses who thrive on the marine environment. They need to ensure that their businesses are going to continue to survive. And so by them making investments in the very environment that they're gleaning their livelihoods from, they're ensuring. So this is like a cycle that continues.
The GFCR is proud to partner with the Nature Conservancy in the Bahamas, in Indonesia, and Micronesia in building lasting reef-positive solutions that can ensure that communities continue to thrive now and into the future.